Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Panorama, reaching you live from Maiduguri Network Center. In today's package, President Muhammadu Buhari stresses the need for improved Russia-Africa relations. Vice President Osinbajo tasked media and opinion molders on peaceful coexistence. United Nations gives Nigeria a pat on the back for international cooperation in building global future. And our discussion segment will focus on recent successes by Operation Lafia Doli against Boko Haram insurgency. I am Abubakar Muhammad Musa. Glad to have you back. Nigerians both at home and in the diaspora have been reassured of the unshakable resolve by the federal government to do everything within the limit of the law to support, protect, and encourage them to prosper in the pursuit of their legitimate means of livelihood. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at a meeting with leaders of the Nigerian community in the Russian Federation on the sidelines of the Russia-Africa Summit in Sochi. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
They came from far and wide to catch a glimpse of the Nigerian leader, get updated on the situation at home, and show appreciation for his genuine efforts at dismantling obstacles to national development and indeed taking the country to the next level.
On behalf of the Nigerian community, we appreciate your effort even to build this relationship by coming to Russia because of the concern you have for our nation. We know the importance of friendship to Russians. When you are a friend to Russia, they can die for you. What you are doing in Nigeria, it is doable. Other countries have passed through it.
And we would like to thank Mr. President for breaking a record because it's his government that have ever paid Nigerian students their stipend complete whole year. So we really want to appreciate you.
Flanked by the governors of Gombe and Zamfara states, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, as well as the Nigerian ambassador to Russia, President Buhari, takes pride in the notable achievements by the diaspora community in various fields of endeavors. The government, he said, truly appreciates their huge potentials in accelerating development, saying, however, that this can only be achieved if they put Nigeria first in everything they do.
You, as the face of our country and the world, will judge our nation based on your conduct and character. In whatever legitimate engagement you find yourself, you must strive to excel and be the best. You must not forget home. You are some of our best and brilliant brains, and your resources, skills, and talents can positively impact Nigeria.
The president used the opportunity to brief his guests on the reforms being implemented in critical sectors of the Nigerian economy to make life better for all.
We focus on key import substitution program, especially in agriculture and manufacturing, to create jobs for our youth so they can earn a decent and honest living. We also introduce our social investment programs that target some of the most vulnerable citizens and the communities. We are already seeing results and we shall continue to push forward. This is a long journey and I am confident that in the long run our efforts will positively impact Nigerians.
President Buhari described as logical Nigeria's renewed partnership with the Russian Federation in view of the many similarities they share. He said Russia, like Nigeria, is pushing an economic diversification agenda that will reduce its reliance on oil and gas by focusing on key job-creating sectors.
The diversification agenda focuses on manufacturing, solid minerals development, and agriculture. Coincidentally, these are also the areas our government has been developing in the past 4 years. We intend to collaborate in areas of oil and gas, agriculture, and solid minerals development. Many of you are aware of the massive Ajakuta steel plant, the most tangible symbol of
Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says there's no better time than now for the injection of new energy and pragmatism into the Africa-Russia relations, as the global community is being increasingly driven by trade, technology and innovation. Addressing participants at the first ever Russia-Africa Summit in Sochi, the president, however, says such mutual benefiting relations must go beyond trade and business by addressing contemporary challenges of counter-terrorism, poverty, illicit financial flows, and climate change. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that the summit focuses on peace, security, and development.
In the relationship between Africa and Russia, the summit, according to organizers, is the starting point for building fair partnerships as the Russian Federation begins to implement what it described as positive and future-oriented agenda for Africa. As convener of the summit, President Putin said his country, which has a lot to offer the continent of Africa, is ready to engage in competition for cooperation with member countries.
We are all interested in making sure that Russian-African cooperation becomes truly systemic and comprehensive. It is important to support the framework policy of the African Union in restoring economy of countries that suffered from conflicts.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, Africa cannot thank the Russian Federation enough for many significant gestures of solidarity and support that shaped its history as a continent. He hopes to see the revitalization of this time-tested relationship by exploring new opportunities for the collective benefit of all.
Let me clearly state that the time has come with this historic summit today for Africa and the Russian Federation to develop new mutually beneficial relations. On our part, I want to assure our Russian friends that Africa is resolute and ready. We look forward to embracing the new dawn of Africa-Russia partnership in general and the revitalized Nigeria-Russia relationship in particular.
He said despite its rich human and natural resources, Africa is lagging behind in capital and technology, hence the increased conflict, migration, and instability. This, he said, informed the adoption of regional integration as key development priority towards addressing prevailing challenges as well as promoting robust, equitable, and inclusive growth that will minimize conflict and enhance economic development.
I want to emphasize that this mutually beneficial relationship must go beyond trade and business to address our infrastructure deficit, conflicts and terrorism, climate change, and human trafficking.
In respect of Nigeria, President Buhari wants to see the country forge a new cooperation with Russia that seeks to enhance its inclusive economic diversification agenda. Already, he said, his administration is investing aggressively in infrastructural development, while policies and programs have been introduced towards enhancing ease of doing business, reducing corruption in the public sector, and enforcing the rule of law.
Today, we live in a world where collective peace and prosperity can only be achieved through collaboration and mutual respect.
A political declaration on the main areas of Russia-Africa cooperation is expected to be adopted by the participating heads of state and government at the end of the summit. From Sochi, Russia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has urged people in the media and opinion molders to inspire others to think deeply about the complexities of the Nigerian society towards promoting peace and unity. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at an interfaith dialogue in Abuja organized by the Embassy of UAE to commemorate that country's month of peace. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
Attacks that have been, recorded as a result of crisis in one place to other parts of Nigeria is basically based on the headlines that the media carries.
The setting is for interfaith tolerance dialogue on promoting religious tolerance.
I don't know what to believe. I don't know what is the truth, because anything comes out through media.
Media practitioners are product of the society, so it is a collective responsibility for all of us to re-examine ourselves and determine where we want to go.
For Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the role of the media is to promote peace and unity in the society and should be wary of those that may want to use it as a tool for division.
And I really want to urge the media and the social media, which involves now every one of us, as gatekeepers of the public mind, to lend their platforms to advocates of peace and mutual understanding, and therefore amplify our potential for harmonious coexistence.
The Vice President equally has a word for leaders on tolerance.
You need great leadership to tell people to love those who hate them, to tell people to pray for those who curse them, to respond to hate with love, and to show compassion and understanding to people of other faiths. That's what we need great leadership for. That's what we need our religious leaders to do.
Vice President Osinbajo commends the government of the United Arab Emirates, stressing that Nigeria and the UAE are true partners for peace. From the Yaradua International Conference Center in Abuja, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Justice Okon Abang of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has dismissed a suit seeking to annul President Muhammadu Buhari's appointment of Ahmed Rufai Abubakar as the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency. The court ruled that the suit is statute-barred. The former chairman of the Pension Reforms Task Team, PRTT, Abdul Rashid Maina, and his son Faisal have been arraigned before a federal high court sitting in Abuja. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission filed charges of alleged corrupt enrichment against the two defendants, while the first defendant, Abdul Rashid Maina, was the head of the PRTT. The prosecution alleged that Maina used the proceeds of fraud to acquire landed property across the country. Justice Folashade Giwa Ogumbanjo of a federal high court, also sitting in Abuja, had earlier this week ordered the interim forfeiture of the alleged corruptly acquired properties to the federal government. In this report, Hamman Jabani highlights stakeholders' submissions in peace building in Nigeria using the United Arab Emirates model. Cultural values remains a key panacea to most of the problems confronting the country occasioned by moral decadence. The minister stated this in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, at the maiden edition of the Nigeria Agip Oil Company joint venture program for its host community. Anthony Fossen reports.
The minister said his vision is to see a cultural renaissance in the country because of its ability to restore moral values, which is capable of solving many of the problems Nigeria faces today in the areas of insecurity, restiveness, and loss of moral values.
Giving the people of the host communities the opportunity to showcase their cultural heritage is a sure way to reconnect them to their roots, and this in turn helps to restore their moral values and self-worth, a sure recipe for avoiding antisocial activities and criminal tendencies.
He noted that giving host communities a sense of belonging will help strengthen intercommunal relationships as well as company and community relations, noting that the federal government is equally tapping into the huge potentials in the tourism and culture sector to diversify the nation's economy. The General Manager District Nigeria Agip Oil, Alessandro Tiani, said the company recognizes that the communities are unique by their culture, which is key to identity.
We believe that continuous engagement is a cardinal pillar for sustainable development.
So far, 38 farmers in the 4 states have been empowered within the last 33 years with road projects, water, cottage hospitals, electricity provided. In Port Harcourt, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The renewed partnership between the Parliament and security agencies is energizing their shared objective of bringing to an end security challenges in some parts of the country. This much was confirmed during the annual budget as both sides affirmed commitment to facilitating provision and deployment of needed logistics for security operations. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The budget's defense was used to hold open secret consultations on security issues, which the Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila says is of priority to the federal government.
That it is in the front burner, it is priority for us. For the first time in the history of, I think, the House of Representatives, we have the issue of the armed forces and on the legislative agenda.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonishakin, Chief Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, and Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, while defending their 2020 estimates before the House of Representatives Committee on Defense, Army and Air Force respectively, were appreciative of appropriations by the National Assembly for security, which have enabled the execution of operations aimed at curbing security breaches and acquisition of state-of-the-art military hardware.
The area of cyber, that is also something that we are hopeful that with the support of the House, that agency, that administration, Defense Space Administration, will be given the necessary boost.
I'm very grateful to the President and of course you members of the National Assembly and this committee in particular for your understanding that the welfare and remuneration of armed forces of Nigeria needs improvement so as to enhance our capacity to create the much needed environment for peace and security.
Very soon our officers and men will move into Pakistan for training while the production of the aircraft is ongoing.
Chairman of the various committees restated renewed vigor to give necessary support for success.
We want to ensure that you get the fleet and inventory that you are entitled to.
You have prepared a lot of insurgents and what have you. Nigeria still expect more from you, and that is whatever we do. They will work together to ensure that this thing is portable. We'll give you our best.
I wish to seize this opportunity to commend Chief of Air Staff and indeed all the officers of Nigerian Air Force for the good work they have done and are still doing to curtail the nagging security challenges in this country.
In another development, the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, briefed the House Committee on Finance on the ministry's performance in 2019 and projections for 2020 during the ministry's budget's defense. Similarly, Minister of Health, Osage Hanire, had an engagement with the House of Representatives Committee on Diaspora, during which he informed members of plans to tackle medical tourism and brain drain.
Collaboration is a connection of our Nigerians in diaspora, professionals in diaspora, with our own service departments here, the federal medical centers and the teaching hospitals, so that there is not only an exchange of technical ideas, but also administrative service delivery experience.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
We sincerely apologize for the poor picture quality of that film report. We now take a break. The news continues shortly. Don't go away.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter, let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are, put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. It insists that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Welcome back. Panorama continues in Abuja. The Ministry of Finance is to spend 361 million naira for the project Lighthouse in the 2020 fiscal year. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed, while defending the ministry's 2020 budget before the Senate Committee on Finance, explained that the project will be a source of revenue and tax-related intelligence for government. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed arriving in the National Assembly for a budget defense session with the Senate Committee on Finance. At the committee room, she presented the performance of 2019 budget of the ministry and then defended that of 2020. The project Lighthouse is one of the new projects penciled down for implementation by the ministry, as it will also carry out digitization of the functions of the core ministry at the cost of 190.5 million naira.
This year we launched Project Lighthouse, which is a digital portal that is warehousing data from several agencies that is enabling us to support the FIRS, the states, and any agency of government that wants information on taxpayers.
We are looking at the opportunity of even auditing the states and all the local government to look at the amount deducted as VAT and other relevant items of tax if they are eventually remitted.
Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola defended the ministry's 2020 budget of 287.1 billion naira before the National Assembly Joint Committees on Works. He explained that the ministry will focus on completion of roads and bridges, especially those on routes A1 and A9 that lead to ports and major agricultural hubs across the 6 geopolitical zones.
We thought that it was necessary to intervene in the education sector of the country, and to date we have 48 road projects at various stages of completion inside universities. Perhaps our country today is the only country where roads are being built by government, maintained by government, without any tolls being collected.
Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Ali Issa Pantami defended the ministry's budget of 6.1 billion naira before the National Assembly Joint Committees on Communications, Information Communication Technology and Cyber Crimes. The committee felt that the 2 billion naira proposed as the ministry's revenue is below expectation, but he gave explanations.
The revenue generation and the levy will automatically go to the parastatals under the ministry, not the supervising ministry.
Budget scrutiny continued with the Senate Committee on Public Procurement, where the management of Bureau of Public Procurement, led by its Director General, Maman Amadou, explained that the agency plans to carry out a procurement. NTA News.
We now go back to Mohammed for the continuation of Panorama in Maiduguri.
administration seems to be consistent in recording successes lately. Every day one hears one story or the other. What is responsible for this?
Yes, thank you for your question, Mohammed. First, we must thank God, who has really granted us successes in most of our outings. And secondly, I want to give the credit to Abuja. We have been receiving more resources of all types that enables us to wage more aggressive operation against Boko Haram. Then we must also see the advantage conveyed the operation by the new concept adopted by the Nigerian Army Super Camp concept. Also, commanders have been